It's funny how the Bible can sometimes feel like it's contradicting itself, right? One minute you're reading, do not touch, and the next you hit a part that says those rules don't really matter. Well, today, we're going to untangle that exact tension. We're going to get to the bottom of the huge difference between just man-made religion and what it means to have a real relationship with God.
All right, so here's the big puzzle we're looking at. You've got the Apostle Paul in the book of Colossians telling people, hey, stop stressing about all these regulations. Do not touch, do not taste. But then you think back to the Old Testament, and it is just full of rules exactly like that. It feels like a total contradiction, doesn't it? So what is really going on here?
Okay, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at that confusing command itself. Then, we'll dive into the world's empty rules versus God's powerful commands. That's key. After that, we'll see how Jesus just completely changed the whole game. And we'll wrap up with what all this means for you and me today. Sound good? Let's jump in.
All right, first up, a confusing command. Let's get right to the source of all this confusion, the very verse that gets this whole conversation started.
So here it is. Paul is writing to this church, and he's basically asking, guys, why are you letting yourselves get bogged down by these rules? Do not handle, do not taste, do not touch. And then he drops the bombshell. These are based on human commands and teachings. He's calling out this checklist spirituality, the kind that's all about what you do on the outside instead of what's happening on the inside.
And that's a perfect lead into our next section, the world's empty rules. So when Paul talks about human commands, what is he actually getting at? Let's really dig into what makes a man-made rule so different from one that comes from God.
So Paul's point is that these rules, they look really good. They have this appearance of wisdom, right? Like, oh, look how disciplined I am. But here's the catch. He says they're completely powerless. They're just born out of human philosophy, not God's wisdom. And because of that, they have zero ability to actually change your heart or help you fight off temptation. It's all for show, with nothing real going on underneath.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. Because when we flip the script and start talking about commands that come directly from God, the whole picture changes. It's a total paradigm shift. It's not about the thing you're not supposed to touch. It's about who told you not to touch it.
Think about this. Let's go way back to the Garden of Eden. Was there something inherently evil about that one piece of fruit? No, of course not. The entire issue was that God gave one specific, clear command and it was broken. Or, fast forward to the story of Uzzah in the Ark of the Covenant. He reaches out to stop it from falling, touches it, and is struck dead. Was the Ark, booby-trapped? No. In both these stories, the problem wasn't the object. The problem was disobeying a direct order from God. The power and the consequence was in the act of obedience or disobedience.
So this is the main takeaway right here. When God gives a command, the power is never, ever in the thing itself. It's not in the fruit, not in the ark. The power is in the relationship. It's about honoring the one who gave the command. The what is way less important than the who. And this idea just gets amplified when Jesus shows up, because he comes in and completely flips the script on this whole clean and unclean dynamic. See, under the old system, uncleanness was contagious. It spread. If you were clean and you touched something unclean, you became unclean. The contamination flowed one way. But with Jesus, he reversed the flow. He was so completely pure, so clean, that when he touched the unclean, lepers, sick people, even the dead, his cleanness flowed out from him and made them clean. He didn't catch their condition, they caught his healing. And you see this so clearly in the story of the woman who had been bleeding for 12 long years. Now, under the law, this made her ritually unclean. That means she was an outcast, cut off from her community, cut off from worship. But she had this incredible faith. She thought, if I can just touch the edge of his clothes, I know I'll be healed. And it happens. She reaches out, touches his cloak, and boom, instantly she's healed. And Jesus feels it. He physically feels power go out from him. This wasn't just a coincidence. It was a tangible transfer of healing power triggered by her faith.
And this just nails the point we've been making. Was there magic in the fabric of his robe? No way. It was just a piece of cloth. The power wasn't in the thing she touched. The power was in him. The robe was just the focal point, the physical connection for her incredible faith.
Okay, so this is all great, but how does it apply to us right now? If these man-made rules are empty and real spiritual life comes from our relationship with God, then what do we do with all the rules we run into in our own lives?
Well, Paul gives us a brand new filter to run things through. The question isn't, will this thing make me unclean anymore? The new question is, will doing this thing cause someone else, maybe someone with weaker faith, to stumble? The whole motivation shifts from being about me and my purity to being about love for other people.
So it's really a three-step process. First, you have to ask, where is this rule coming from? Is it just a human tradition, maybe based in fear, or is it actually from God? Second, you have to think about your neighbor. Is my freedom in this going to hurt someone else? And finally, you let the Holy Spirit guide you, not some rigid checklist.
Okay, let's wrap this up. When you put these two types of rules next to each other, the difference is just night and day. Just look at this. Worldly rules, they come from human wisdom, tradition, sometimes even fear. They're all about the external stuff, the ritual. And honestly, they have no real power. The goal is usually just to look pious. But divine commands, they come straight from God. They're focused on your heart, on obedience. They carry real spiritual power and consequence. And the goal? It's all about relationship with Him. It's a completely different game.
And that, right there, is the bottom line. The Bible isn't saying rules are inherently bad. It's saying the source of the rule and the reason for the rule is everything. A true spiritual life isn't about following a checklist of what to avoid. It's about having a relationship where you listen to God and then, out of love, you obey Him.
So that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about for ourselves. When you look at your own spiritual practices, your own rules, what's behind them? Is it fear of the world, fear of messing up? Or is it the freedom that comes from real, genuine obedience to God? Because honestly, the answer to that question really does change everything.